Welcome to Modular Hippo and episode 15 of the Kiribati 36 boat build wiring, cabling, components playlist. So in this episode I am looking at connecting the actual isolation transformer. So we got a chance to hear how that sounds. I wasn't know if it was going to be noisy or not, but we'll see. I'm also doing some other cabling around the Orion DC to DC step-down converter, among other things. So let's take a look. For the AC connection between the inverter and the isolation transformer, I'm going to use this Arctic Blue cable, and I might as well start cutting that up into the right pieces. So I will have one that comes out of here, which will go into the shore power from the isolation transformer, and there will be another one coming out of the multiplos as well, which will be my AC 230 load. So I'll start prepping these. With the lid off the isolation transformer, we can see that we're going to go from the output into the output of the inverter, or input of the inverter. So I'm going to measure up that cable. I have prepped the ends of the cables so I can mount them. We have the first cable in place, which is from the isolation transformer, where I'm going brown live, blue neutral, and yellow green earth. So brown is live in the UK. So that then comes out and goes in to the in, which is live brown, yellow earth, and blue neutral. What's a bit confusing is why they have different placement of live and neutral on this one versus this one. So here you have live and neutral is next to each other, and earth is on the right. Here they put earth in the middle and live and neutral on each side. So if anyone knows why they would do that, out of interest, just curiosity, please let me know in the comments. Also, one cool thing is that it's a proper clamp here for the cable to make sure it's not going anywhere, and you have a nice little kind of rubber dust grommet sitting down here that you cut the length. So I think I took off the two first kind of tips on this, and that was a perfect fit for the Arctic Blue cable. Second cable now in place, so that is the AC out from the inverter itself. So this is where we're going to get the 5000 watts coming out. I can see that there's an AC out 1 and an AC out 2. I've used AC out 1. There's a little diagram here as well where it depicts the AC out 1 and 2. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean a lot to me, so I'm sure it's in the manual, but if anyone knows why there's an AC out 1 and 2, then please stick it in the comments. I need to read up on it as well, but if you know, please let me know. The second cable is now the input for the isolation transformer. So all I need to do now is put a wall plug here, a domestic wall plug. Same goes in this one. So on this one there will be a male, and on this one there will be a female. So I need to get those two, and then we should have connected the two together, and we can run a test against the domestic 230 volt. So 230 volt coming in here, going in here, and then coming out, kind of simulating being in a marina using the shore power. The male plug, domestic plug for the isolation transformer is now in place. What I did notice though is that it came with a 5 amp fuse, so I'm going to replace that with a 15 amp fuse. Otherwise it's going to pop if I go over that rating. So I'm going to leave this lid off. I remember that I am going to test the actual shore power inlet, so this domestic plug is not what I need to use. So I'm going to take that off again, and I'm going to put the domestic female shore inlet on instead, and then I don't have to figure out how to, because really what I need is a 16 amp fuse, and these domestic ones only take 15 amp as max, and that's why you put a 13 amp fuse in the actual contact itself. So yeah, let's take that off and let's put the shore power inlet on instead. Okay, so we have brown, which is live, we have earth, and we have blue neutral in place. It has an interesting cover that goes on to the cable before, and then it's then pushed in and screwed down before the actual rubber grommet goes on. We now have the shore power inlet here instead. I put a little plastic tie band here because I don't want to, when the actual cable is hanging on this one, I don't want to put extra strain on the connection points here. So it's just hanging onto the actual frame itself. In theory, we should be able to plug this in, plug it into the mains. I should be able to power up the isolation transformer. I should be able to send 3600 volts into the Victron Energy Multiplus 2. And at this end, I should really put a fuse box for that holds the number of fuses that I need for the domestic use of the 230 volts. But I guess we could try this anyway. What is missing is a 16 amp fuse here. I'm sure that on the shore power stations they will have their internal fuses themselves, so that if the draw goes over the or saying that, I probably need a 16 amp fuse here to make sure that if I draw more than 3600 watts, then I pop that 16 amp fuse. So I guess we can try this out. Now this is connected to the shore power cable that then goes in, and you have a big reel of shore power cable there. It's coming out here, goes into a domestic normal plug, and I'm now going to plug that into the mains, and I hope that this one should fire up to show on, and maybe even also the inverter. And then obviously I'm not going to draw anything from it because the cable looks like this, but I'm too curious to see if it at least lights up. So let's give that a go. Here we go. I'm probably going to blow a fuse somewhere, but at least let's see what happens. We can hear a clunk, and we have the on light. It's indicating that it's found 230 volts, which is good because this is the auto version. So if I was in North America right now and it was only 115 volts, it would then recognize 115, and this one should go on. And that should just be temperature. So if I overheat this one, that should go on, just to indicate that I probably want to slow down a bit on the load. So it's a bit of a buzz to it. I don't think that will be a problem. It's not going to be annoying enough. It's not loud enough. Not sure if there's a fan in it that might kick in if it gets too warm. So it'll be interesting to see how loud that fan is. So at the moment I can't see anything on the inverter itself. So I probably need to look at that. I wonder if the inverter needs power from the actual battery input. So this one isn't connected to the battery yet, so therefore potentially it's not firing up. So, but it's a good start. I found a little on-off switch down here, so we'll see what happens if I use that. Yeah, it's nothing. So yeah, back to it. I think it's literally, I need to get some power from the actual battery bank to be able to fire it up, and then I can utilize the features and the routing of the different currents. I just had some goodies delivered through the post. A 70mm tube cable, which is able to withstand 485 amps. So I will be connecting the battery boxes to the Lynx distributor with this one. So as I have two 10 kilowatt motors, which is roughly 400 amps, although I will never use 400 amps, I just need to make sure that if anything goes wrong, these cables can handle 400 amps, and then we can have a fuse which is way lower to make sure that we protect the system. So these needs lugs at the end. I think these are 2 AVG, I think is the American version, which has a cross section of 67 millimeter instead of 70 millimeters. So that's the closest comparison, the 2 AGV. We also have some standard 35 millimeter too, and I will be using that to connect the Victron inverter to the Lynx distributor as well. So one of these and one of the black ones. So that's what I'm going to do next. Used a cheap crimping tool from eBay, and it's doing the job. So I just need to also put these sleeves on with a heat gun. And the other side, which is the M10 side, so you can see it's 35-10, so that's the stud size. And that's why the Lynx distributor is called M10, because it's M10 studs. So if you have an older system, you should use the M8, because you probably have M8 cables for that as well. And ready to be installed between the Victron Energy Multiplus 2 and the M10 Lynx distributor. So we are now back to 48 volt DC. So I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a big plus up here and a big minus. So we have positive and negative. So that's the red. They put a nice little red plastic piece here as well, so you can't get that wrong. So that will go on here, those little seals as well. And then we're just gonna tighten that up and then connect the other side to the Lynx distributor. So we now got what we need. We have the AC out, the AC in, and the 48 volt DC out to the Lynx shunt. Never assume, always check. Never assume, always check. Because this was called M10, which indicates that the main kind of in and out on this side is M10 openings. I also assumed that these were M10 as well. So I have crimped on M10, which is way too big. I'm sure I would get away with it from a testing purpose, but I don't like it, so I am probably going to replace these. Yeah, so there you go, 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards. I have received the chunky 70-8 lugs for the 17 millimeter 2 cables that will go from the battery to the Lynx distributor. So I might as well put them on now so we can mount these cables. With the lugs now in place, I can now put it on the battery and the Lynx distributor. Okay, so when we tested the motor with the Seplos pack, I had these two connected to this junction here, and now instead I have these 70 millimeter 2 cables that can handle 480 amp that will go into the input of the Lynx. The only thing I need to do is just get 2 bolts and nuts that are appropriate for this connection here. So I need to get that. Another thing I've done is that I've also fitted a 300 amp fuse to this input here, and that's where I'm going to have the motor input. So the total motor input could be 400 amp, but I can't see myself ever using that many amps. That's almost 15,000 watts. Will be way below that with all the gearing and everything else that I'm putting in place. So if I actually burn a 300 amp fuse, then something has gone wrong. So that's why I've kept it at 300. We might as well push forward with the Orion TL48 DC to DC step down converter. So this one should take me down from 48 volts to 12 volts. So at the moment I've connected the right hand side to a cable with something that's going to go to a temporary fuse box, so that I can then connect certain 12 volt and later on 5 volt appliances. So I'm now going to connect the other side, the input, to the actual Lynx distributor itself. So I will be able to connect one here and one there, and then I also need to just get a mega fuse that has the right amperage for this application. So let's do it. The other end now ready for mounting. So we have the M8 little cable lugs there, and look how pretty it becomes when you put a little bit of shrink tubing on. It looks very professional. So we now have the Orion input going into the one of the 4 entry points of the Lynx distributor. I might do a different solution on this in the future, because I feel taking up one of the ports for just the Orion might be a little bit overkill. If I feel that this port can be used in a better way, because it's such a high amperage, etc., then I'll probably find a different connection point for this. But for now it looks good, and I will get a mega fuse that I will need to power this, and then once it's connected to the battery we can then trial the Orion. Thank you for watching episode 15 of this modular hippo playlist around cabling. If you're new to the channel and you want to see more about the actual boat build that I'm building in parallel, you can find a playlist for that, as well as the electrical boat motor that I'm building as well. It's up here somewhere. As usual, if you have any concerns, questions, or anything I can help with, then stick that into the comments and I'll respond within 24 hours. Thank you.